Good day to you all. Our reaction video today features Tommy Robinson, and he's being interviewed by Nick Shirley. The title is Brits Are Ready to Fight. Tommy, the man leading the UK Revolution, talks about the films he has made that exposes the corruption in Britain. So let's have a look at this film now.
And this time it was like Elon Musk picking up free speech and just saying, go boys, go, yeah? Go and have your say, save your country.
This is the counter-revolution. There's been a globalist revolution for 20 years. We are the counter-revolution.
They've took our sense of identity, they've took our pride, and they've took our community. When you now fly into a British airport, if they want to, they can detain you, and you have no right to remain silent, and you have to give them all your passwords and all your camera footage.
When you're just laying in bed at night, do you feel like you're at war?
Oh, we are at war. No, we're totally at war.
Thousands and thousands of people are descending on central London for, as you say, the Unite the Kingdom protest organised by this far-right activist Tommy Robinson.
That's how powerful political correctness is. People think about how powerful is it? It made men stand and watch children be mad.
Today, I'm here in the United Kingdom to interview Tommy Robinson. He is currently leading the largest revolution in the United Kingdom and faces potential imprisonment for and underneath the Terrorism Act, as he did not give up his phone password to the government. Right now, here in the United Kingdom, you have major issues from freedom of speech laws to digital ID to the rise of Islam, mass immigration at levels that are unprecedented and that are not sustainable. And Tommy has been more attacked by any other person politically in the United Kingdom, as he's faced imprisonment multiple times, and now one jury alone will determine whether or not Tommy stays free here in the United Kingdom or gets sent back to prison. And now, this is the Tommy Robinson interview. Tommy Robinson, you're leading the largest revolution in the United Kingdom right now. You had, let me just saying, 100,000 people. You had millions of people out in the streets of London just the other week. What revolution are you leading?
We're leading a cultural revolution. In fact, a cultural revolution in Great Britain, but a counter-revolution. It's a counter-revolution because there's been a globalist revolution for the last 2 decades across the West. They've taken power through censorship. They've attacked the family. They've attacked Christianity. They've attacked culture. They've broke us down. And now we're leading a counter-revolution to that. We want to get back to where we were. We want to get back to our British values, back to our family values. Now, what you witnessed last week was the largest gathering and protest in British history, the largest there's ever been. Something's changed, and it's been great to watch, because I've been trying to, for the last 20 years, the British public have been intimidated into silence. It's not just the British public. It's every European nation, every Western nation. People have been scared to speak. Scared because you lose your job, scared because of cancel culture, scared because of government-funded organisations like Antifa and groups like this violently attack you. So all of these things have played a part in managing to silence what I'd say is the most fiercest nation of men on the planet.
And they've tried to silence you more than any person in, I'd say, United Kingdom history. Right now, you're facing imprisonment in just a few days.
Yep.
October 13th, you're going to go up before a judge, and that judge will determine your fate. The last rally you had in Trafalgar Square, after you showed a film, they then sent you to jail, imprisoned you for, they sentenced you for 18 months.
Yep.
Why do they keep coming after you every single time you get the masses into the streets of London and that you lead?
Well, that's why they keep coming after me. Because I put the masses on the streets. I can galvanise the people. I can unify them. And anyone who can do that is a target for them. They don't want that. And they were successful for many years. They made me toxic. They made me invisible due to big tech censorship. So they controlled everything. Through Facebook, through YouTube. I was deleted off everything. X, all of them.
What year was that?
Deleted off X in 2017. I think YouTube 2018. Facebook the same year. All of them, Snapchat, every single social media, every one of them, totally banned. Not just banned, it was a whole new level of banned, because if you mention my name on Facebook, you got banned. So they made my name impossible to be spoken. They literally, and remember, I've never been prosecuted for a court for any hate crime, any racism, any extremism. I've never been arrested or tried or convicted on anything. So there was no court that decided I was to be deleted. In fact, if you go through the history, the UK government, there's videos of this. They sat down with the executives of YouTube, the government. So the Labour Party, now, Muslim MPs, of course they want to censor me, of course they want to silence me. I'm embarrassing them. I'm highlighting the rape gangs. I'm highlighting all the problems that open border mass immigration bring. So the government sit down with private companies and force them to remove me. There's actually a video of them saying, well, we're seeing Tommy Robinson's videos recommended. And YouTube actually made a statement because they went through all my videos and they said, we've checked all of his videos and none of them breach any of YouTube's guidelines because they're all just journalism. And then they carried on attacking them and carried on attacking them. And then in the end, YouTube surrendered and they removed me, they deleted me, and they made me invisible. But I've sort of come back from the dead, thanks to Elon Musk.
And what involvement has Elon Musk had in your resurrection from everything you've seen?
Everything
your revival that you've seen here in the United Kingdom? Because if you went from being blocked from every social media site, from Twitter all the way to YouTube, there's nowhere for you to speak. But now we have X. How has that brought you back into the light of things?
You see what you saw, you was here on the 30th of September. Everything you witnessed that day, none of it would have happened without Elon Musk buying X. That's the reality. The reality is we were defeated. I felt defeated, and I had no hope. And I don't think many British people had hope for our future. Elon Musk buying X has reignited a fire and give us hope, and give us a platform to discuss some free speech, and give us a platform to be able to wake people up, to be able to tell the truth, to be able to have discussions, difficult discussions that need to be had. So Elon buying X certainly resurrected me. It certainly got me back into the public sphere. And when you're back in the public sphere, for all those years, the government could tell people who I am, and journalists could lie about me continuously. And I had no way of countering it. Do you know how disheartening it was? I'd sit and I'd still follow it, Twitter, and I'd still look on social media, and I'd see all these stories about me. They're just lies. And I had no way of even saying, hold on, this isn't true. So
what were some of those lies?
So many. Just say far-right, extremist, racist, but I'll give you one example. Sky News, and you dig this up. This is insane, yeah? Let me get my phone. Right? And this is what they do. And when I had social media, I could expose them, yeah? So put in Tommy Robinson, I don't care. And this headline's still there. It's insane. I don't care if I incite fear. I sit down with Sky News, and the problem that they always had, so this is the headline, yeah? This is still a lead story for Sky News.
Still right there.
Still right there, yeah? Now, this whole thing is total lies, yeah? And I prove it. So, Tommy Robinson, I don't care if I incite fear of Muslims. That's the headline, yeah? So what I've done is, I sat down with Sky News, and what happened, they used to get me on all the chat shows in my early days, and I used to annihilate them with facts, yeah? And so they get me on to attack me, but the public would end up listening and supporting me. So in the end, they blacklisted me from all media, yeah? And the only time they'd have me on is like this. But I know what they're doing. So like you saw the interview with this French girl the other day, I just record everything. But what I did when I sat down with Sky is I left a hidden camera over there, and I sat down like this, and I've done the full interview, hour and a half, and then this comes out, a 2-minute clip. And I read the headline, I thought, I don't care if I incite fear. I didn't say that. And I thought, I haven't said that. Yeah? So I watched back through to see where they've got that from. And what happens is, me and Jason Farrell, lead for Sky News, we're talking about 2007. Now, in 2007, I'm explaining to him, there was a film made in Holland by the Dutch government called Loverboy. Now, Loverboy is about Moroccan men in Holland grooming young girls, Dutch girls, through a Loverboy method, getting them to fall in love with them and then prostituting them, which is what the grooming scandal is in the UK. Now, this was 2007. So the Dutch made a video to educate all the Dutch girls. Now, that video was tried to be brought into the British education system, but they blocked it because it was racist. So they didn't want to show a video that would warn children about grooming because it showed that Muslim men are grooming, yeah? So they blocked it and said it was racist. So I'm talking about that film, a film. And what I say is, I don't care if it incites fear, yeah? So long as it prevents children being raped. Now, what he done is he put a voiceover in saying, I put to Tommy Robinson that he continues to cause fear. And then he cut my answer, talking about film, saying, I don't care if it incites fear. Yeah? But when you actually go to their own video on YouTube and you go to the wording, now to get this headline, which changes the context of what I said, I don't care if I incite fear. I never said I said it. So even in their video and you watch it, I say it. But they got rid of the T and they removed the S to change the whole context. So it's like, I don't care if I'm inciting fear against Muslims. I never said that. The context was changed by a voiceover to a question that he never even asked me, and I had the full video of it. So I then put the video out saying, this whole headline in this story, that was the second most protested and complained about show that year via Ofcom. We have Ofcom, which is like a body to deal with fair media. Yeah. So that was the 3,500 people complained about that. That nothing happened, and the lies are still there.
Yeah, so the media, they've been proven to not be trustworthy year over year.
I have absolutely...
2007.
That article was 2018.
2018.
That article was 2018. But I've made documentaries, Panorama, Panorama was a documentary where... So Panorama are the lead BBC investigative documentary maker. Yeah? They were making a documentary about me. They are specialists in covert recording. Now, when they were making a documentary against me, I come out of jail, and they made it because 660,000 people signed a petition to have me released from prison, and 30,000 people marched on Parliament. That worried the government. My level of influence and public opinion was rising. So they were doing a hit job of a takedown documentary on me. I sent a girl, I don't know if you've had a chance to watch this documentary, it's unbelievable. Yeah? I sent a girl undercover into Panorama. So their specialist is covert recording. So I sent a girl to covertly record the head of Panorama. Do you know what I got on him? I got him making sexual allegations against me. I got them planning to make sexual allegations against me. So everything we think about the BBC, I got it in covert recordings from the head of Panorama, sitting down with a girl. He sits down with a lady. I've got it on covert recording. And he says, what I want you to say is this, and this. If you say these three things about Tommy Robinson, they will all go in the documentary. So he's telling her what to say. That's not journalism. So then Panorama...
It's not even journalism, it's like directing.
It's a totally staged documentary, yeah? Now, I got all of that on covert recording, and then Panorama come to interview me for their documentary. They don't know I've got all this. So I set up a TV screen behind me, and then all their producers are sat there, and I asked them, would you ever tell anyone what to say in a documentary? Would that happen? He said no. I just said press play. The covert recording, and all their producers just put their heads in their hands. And then I had so much on them, yeah? So then I just kept going, what about sexual allegations? Because basically, the girl that I sent undercover into them said, I've got a recording of me arguing with Tommy, yeah? And they were like, does he get aggressive? And she was like, he shouts, but I'm screaming at him, I'm abusing him. And they say, don't worry, we can cut all that out. Yeah, we can cut all that out. And then they get all excited and they say, we're going to make a sexual thing against Tommy Robinson. It's like, so then I sit there and say, and then she tells them that the disagreement we were having was about work, yeah? So nothing about sex, but they were going to totally change the context of an argument that they had a recording for to make it into a sexual allegation. So they wanted to paint me as Harvey Weinstein. This girl was offered £5,000. They introduced other journalists to run newspaper stories. So I got all of it on covert recording. I produced a documentary called Panodrama. Yeah? Within 24 hours, it had 2 million views. I was deleted from Facebook. 24 hours later, I was blacklisted from everything because of this documentary. Yeah? And then the Attorney General sent my solicitors a letter. They re-imprisoned me because of this documentary. They re-imprisoned me for an offence I'd been in prison for the year before that I was released after unlawful detainment. They put me back in jail. They took me back to court, all because of that documentary. So remember, everyone that's followed my story, they've watched this documentary. But then by deleting me, this is why they made my name deleted.
Yeah.
So, and then anyone who shared the documentary would get banned from all social media. So they made the documentary impossible to find. They blocked it. And then they put them back in jail. So, I've challenged the media, and not just challenged them, I've absolutely humiliated them. John Sweeney, the head of Panorama, lost his job over this. He lost his job. They put him on gardening leave and then got rid of him after 9 months.
So you've been at war with these people for years now, and it's like every single time they do something like that, it just makes your base even stronger. Like, for instance, that when they had that rally just in 2021 in Trafalgar Square, or 2020, 2023? When was that?
21?
Yeah. Well,
No, it's 22, 23, wasn't it?
yeah.
It's 23.
You had around 100,000 people there. You you made another documentary. You put it up on the screen for everyone to see. After that, they imprisoned you.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to imprison you again.
Yeah.
And why are they trying to imprison you once again? Don't they realize that every single time they do this, it just makes your base even larger?
So
And what's the reason for putting you in prison again? Because you're going to face a judge. You're going to have one judge, and this one judge will determine whether you go to prison and for potentially 5 years.
No, this is less. This is a small one. I've got this sentence. I've got another 2 cases. I've got another one where I face 10 years.
So you have multiple.
I've got one where I face 10 years. 10
Wow.
years.
How many years right now are you currently facing?
That faces 10 years. This next one next week, they can give me 3 months.
3 months.
They can give me 3 months.
And it's just one judge.
One judge, yeah. So there's no jury. I've never had a jury. You hear about jury trials. I've never had a jury. I've never been tried by a jury. Always by a judge. People think we have a fair justice system. We don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. That's it. And when that legal system puts a target on you, they will come for you and they can find anything. Yeah? So the one you're on about in Trafalgar Square, there was a story in the north of England where a story was given to the British public and given to the world's public because it was on American news, it was worldwide news, and I found out that story was a lie. So I went and reported it was a lie. And then they come for me through the courts, and they tried taking me through the courts. So I then, again, covertly recorded for a documentary. I made a film. When I went to court, so they took me to court saying about this story, but I went to teachers' houses. So the story was, I went to all the teachers' houses and got them on covert recordings saying that they were paid not to tell the truth. So they were paid by the local council. The head of the local council was a Muslim, yeah? And I went through it all, and they spent £274,000. So I got all the teachers saying, Tommy, we took the money. Yeah, the Asian teacher just... So I got all this on recording. And then when I went to the judge, when I was on trial, I just said, there's all the evidence. The whole story's been a lie. Start to finish, this story was fabricated in order to deceive the British public, in order to push an open border mass immigration policy. So that, because if the truth could be known about this story, people would start questioning government policy. Yeah? So that was the story. I can't talk too much about it because I'm still under an injunction. That's what I just got 18 months for. I'll go straight back to jail tomorrow. Yeah? If I talk about the things I proved, yeah. But I made it into a film. And then when I went to court, the judge knew I had a film, and I said, it doesn't matter what happens in this courtroom, because the world's going to see. The world's going to see what you've done, because I've got all the evidence. They knew I had all the evidence. So what the judge then done is he ruled against me and bankrupted me for £1.5 million. And then he listed everything that was on the covert recordings. And he said, if this is ever released, I'm giving you an injunction now. So we have these injunctions. You've got them in America. I don't know if people know Laura Loomer. She can't tell you, but she's under court injunctions. They've gagged her. Certain Islamic groups have gagged her, yeah, because that's what they do. And they use the court system. It's like a weapon. And that's what they've done to me here. Mm-hmm. So the judge gave me an order, and I read the order, and it basically prohibited me from showing anyone the evidence. And if I did show anyone the evidence, he told me straight, you'll get 2 years in jail. And then I left court. And I guess I failed myself as a journalist, and I failed my base or my support because I was too scared to release the film. And I was scared because the consequence of prison. British prisons are ISIS training camps. They're controlled by Muslim gangs. I'm very outspoken about Islam. There's 6 Muslims in jail now doing 30 years for planning to kill me. They got caught with guns and bombs. So I faced that, but I was also worried about solitary confinement because I've spent time on solitary confinement, which mentally damaged me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what happened when you were rally in Trafalgar Square,
yeah.
They imprisoned you, and then you were sent into prison you were sentenced for 18 months,
yep.
But then you spent a large majority of that time in solitary confinement.
Yep. So I released the film. So the film that I wasn't allowed to release, I didn't release it for 3 years. So I've got this film, I've got a weapon, because this film's far bigger than Tommy Robinson. Yeah. This film is about...
Have you released this film?
Yeah, I released it. It's what they give me 18 months for.
The Silence film.
The Silence. It's what I released in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
So obviously I've had this film for years. Yeah? For 2-3 years. We then start this movement. So we start the movement. As I was saying earlier, the idea of this is, it's called Unite the Kingdom. We took all of the voices who have been gagged, silenced, demonised, attacked. Like, there's not just me, there's Katie Hopkins, there's Cole Benjamin, there's Lawrence Fox, Maya Toosey, all the conservative influencers, commentators. we brought them together in a room and we had a vision. And I'm so happy where that vision's gone, yeah? But we had a vision. And the vision was that if we can change the culture, we can change the politics of the UK. And we'll change the culture quicker than setting up a political party. If we can awaken the nation and give people back what they've took our sense of identity, they've took our pride, and they've took our community. If we can give that back through an identity-based focus group that celebrates British identity, that tells people you can celebrate who you are, and we can unify people in that way, through music, through entertainment, and through celebration. So that was the plan. And what we said is we need to sit down and what do we agree on? Let's not talk about what we disagree on, yeah? Because we'll disagree on a lot. Bringing that many people together is always difficult. But we said, what can we agree on? We agree this country needs free speech and we've lost it. We agree our culture is disappearing and we need to defend it. We agree against sexual exploitation of children. We agree against the education indoctrination system through LGBTQ+. So we agreed on 5 main principles. We said, right, this is our group. And overnight, say like, if you was in the UK, Nick, we'd have brought you into this group, yeah?
Yeah.
You've got nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So the people we sat down had 1 million, had 500,000, 1 million on TikTok, 1 million on this. And the idea was that when we all come together, if we're going to fight for British culture, like that, now, if we combine all of us under one umbrella, then the BBC can lie, government can lie, we can counter it to the biggest audience in the world at the click of a button, if we all bring ourselves together under one banner, which is what we did. We decided to start up a group called Unite the Kingdom. We held our first demonstration on the first 8,000 people. The second demonstration, which is what you were talking about, 27th of July. So, but I've had this film the whole time. Yeah. I know they want to lock me up for 2 years, yeah? But I also then thought, I've got social media. The world's watching this now. Yeah?
At this point, you have ex.
I've had my ex back. I've come back to the UK. We've been reborn thanks to Elon Musk. We're back active. I'm organising rallies. We're uniting all the people who have been attacked and demonised and silenced. We're back. It's like he literally lit a fire in my belly, yeah, and just said, and it was like every time I fall down, it's like someone just picks me up. And this time it was like Elon Musk picking up free speech and just saying, go, boys, go, yeah? Go and have your say, save your country. That's how it felt, yeah? So I was in Spain. I was living in Spain at the time. I'd just come straight, as soon as I remember it. I was on the beach, I was sitting in a restaurant, and my ex just flicked back on. And I was like, because I was still always looking at ex. I was still always obsessed with it, yeah? My ex account flicked back on. And then I saw Katie Hopkins, who's another lead commentator who's been attacked, bankrupt. They've done exactly to her what they've done to me. And I saw her account. So I messaged her saying, Katie, our accounts are back. And she went, what? I said, our ex accounts are back. And then she was like, oh my fucking God. I said, we're back. Because Elon had bought X, and a lot of people have been bought back. We never got bought back for about 9 months. So I didn't think I was coming back. And then it come back. And I was like, Jesus, man. And then I couldn't remember the password, so I couldn't use it. I was sitting there just wanting a tweet, and I couldn't use it. And then, but then I reached out to someone who reached out to Elon, and then they reset my password, and then boom, I jumped on a flight back to the UK straight away. And I jumped on a flight back to the UK. October 7th had happened. Hamas and their supporters had took over our capital every week. I'd watched it for 6 months.
And here in London?
Here in London. Every week, Hamas and their supporters had took over the capital city, and no one had countered it. So I come back...
As far as them having protest?
Yeah, protesting...
The Free Palestine movement?
Free Palestine movement, well, it's a pro-Hamas movement, but the Free Palestine movement, but the police allowed them to call for the gas and the Jews. The police allowed them to attack our sacred war memorials. The police allowed them to fly terrorist flags. The police allowed them to call for jihad. There was no counter to what they were doing. The police had literally stood down and let terrorists take over the capital, yeah? I then come back to the UK, and it's Armistice Day.
When you come back on that flight back, are you like, all right, it's go time? Like, would you say that's when the revolution?
I'd say that's when that's the start. Yeah, that was the start of this, and it started with this first because I looked at Armistice Day, which was our sacred day to remember our armed forces, and there was a pro-Palestinian rally. So I made a video saying, "You're not going to ruin Armistice Day in our capital city." So I'm calling on all men, all British men. Get yourself to London, yeah? We're coming to London for our Remembrance Day. And about 3,000 men turned up, or 4,000 men turned up. And that was the first rally. So 4,000 turned up, and the pro-Palestinian mob got nowhere near Armistice Day. There were clashes, there was a few it was quite lively. But we were on the streets. From that, the Attorney General sent an email straight to my solicitor, warning me that they could charge me for contempt of court. Now, I hadn't released this film, Silence, but it had been leaked in America at a cinema. General Flynn was there in 2021. So it had been leaked for 2 years. No one mentioned it. No counter to it. I come back, get my ex-account back, hold the first rally. The government contact my solicitor saying we're warning him. So then I made a video to their warning, basically saying, fuck you now. I'm not heeding your warning. Here's my warning to you, to the government. Come and get me for the film. Yeah? Come and get me, because you're going to make the world watch it. And I know what the film shows. Yeah? But they hadn't...
What does the film show?
The film shows total and utter corruption from the British judiciary. Total and utter weaponising, a stand down of the police, fabricated news story. It shows the unholy alliance of media, government and police.
Yeah.
All working together. And I got it all start to finish on recording and covert recording, hidden recording and evidence. I got school records, I proved everything was a lie. Yeah. And I knew I had this film. But then, so they said they were coming, they warned about coming for me. About 3 weeks later, just before July 27th, then the film was in 2 places online. I'd never released it, and I'd never mentioned it or promoted it. Yeah. And both those places, it was an American outfit called Mice Media and a YouTube channel. It got deleted off both of them the same day. So both the people contacted and said, film's been deleted. Yeah. So I rang my solicitor and said, they're coming for me. 100% they're coming for me. Because what they're doing is they're deleting the film from anywhere. So when they come and grab me for prison, there's no film. Yeah. No one gets to see the film. We're now got July 27th. So then I sit my family down and say, look, everything's built up for this. Yeah?
This rally that you're going to have on July 27th.
It's going to be the biggest patriotic gathering Britain's ever... I knew it was.
And this is, just for people to know, we're talking about the rally that took place, not the one that recently took place.
Not the recent one, the last one I was at before this. 100,000 people. We filled Trafalgar Square, 3 big screens. Now, at that moment, I know they're going to come for me for the film that I haven't even released. So at that point, I thought, right, let's go. I'm releasing the film. So I then publicly, in Trafalgar Square, to 100,000 people and 1 million people watching online, because I knew what I was doing. Yeah, here's the film. I'm breaking your court injunction.
So you're just sitting there at the top of Trafalgar Square, 100,000 people are watching, you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, here you go. You want to put me in prison? Here's the film. And it was letting my supporters and letting the million people watch this film. This film changed everything. Yeah? This is the evidence of the corruption of the judiciary. And the reason being, you see the corrupt courts, they've been weaponised against Donald Trump. They've been weaponised against Steve Bannon. They were weaponised against General Flynn. They're weaponised against Marine Le Pen. They're weaponised against Geert Wilders. They're weaponised against anyone who spoke up. Morten Messerschmidt, Danish People's Party, Peter Bryson, 20 arrests. Anyone who spoke out against mass immigration and against the globalist plan, they used the courts against you. Yeah? But I had the evidence here that shows a far bigger picture than Tommy Robinson. It shows start to finish and catches on camera how they operate. So I played it in Trafalgar Square, and but I was scared, and I had to tell my kids. I said, I'm gone. If I play this film, I know I'm gone. Yeah? I knew what I was doing, but I was sort of throwing down the gauntlet at the government, saying, go on then, come and do it. Yeah? You're going to come and do it anyway. Do it now. And then I had X now, yeah? So I pinned the documentary. I released it. On that day, we played it, and it was released on my X account. And then they come for me. The next day, so July 27th, we hold this event. I then travel the next morning. I'm driving to Spain. I get to Felixstowe, and I'm detained under the Terrorism Act, which is what I now face court for.
Yeah.
So, and this is where...
Are they labeling you as a terrorist?
They detained me under Article 7 of the Terrorism Act. And when they detained me, their words were, Tommy, because they said, we're detaining you under Article 7 of the Terrorism Act. And I went, Terrorism Act? Are you taking a piss? What are you talking about? And I got and they said, Tommy, look, we know you're not a terrorist, all right? But this legislation allows us to do this. I said, allows you to do what? And they said, well, you have to do an interview now, and you have no right to remain silent. So I said, I have no right to remain silent. And you have to give us your passwords for your electrical devices. So under Article 7 of the Terrorism Act, when you now, Nick Shirley, fly into a British airport, if they want to, they can detain you, and you have no right to remain silent, and you have to give them all your passwords and all your camera footage. Now, from my point of view, which is when they said this, I said, look, I'll do your interview. So they interviewed me for 6 hours. Now, what they interviewed me for 6 hours was nothing about terrorism. It was all about my legitimate lawful activities as a journalist. So I'm a journalist, and what I explained to him is, no, you don't have a right to my sources of information. They're protected. I'm a journalist. Who gives me information is protected. Now, I've done documentaries against the BBC. I've exposed NGO. You know Media Matters in America? Mm-hmm. Well, the equivalent of them, or even the ADL, the equivalent of them is a group called Hope Not Hate in the UK. I done a great expose documentary on them.
And so you've exposed all these people, then they
want access to all my stuff.
They want access to all your stuff, and you refuse access.
And I refuse access.
And now you're labeled as a terrorist.
Now I'm charged under the Terrorism Act. But I've done the interview, and in the interview, when they questioned me about this. What's your plans? How are you going to stop the Great Replacement? That's what they said. I thought the Great Replacement was a conspiracy theory, lads. This is counter-terrorism, please. They kept going on about my views on Israel as well. Made a massive deal out of my views on Israel. So all of the things they spoke to me about is going to come out next week in court, because people are going to hear what they interviewed me about. But everything they interviewed me about wasn't about terrorism. It's all about my legal, lawful opinion based on mass immigration in Islam. And what my plans are. What's your plans? How did you fund this? How did you do what's your plans? What's your next movement? And I don't have a right to remain silent here. But I'm quite happy to tell them my plans. Like, we're coming for you. Like, we're waking this country up. So I'm telling them this. Like, it's gone beyond. And their first question was, what do you think of Great Britain? And I said, it's a totalitarian shithole. Yeah? Because we live in a totalitarian state. For the United States, and for your viewers, it may be difficult to understand this. We don't live in a free society. This is a totalitarian state. And what are the weapons of the totalitarian state? The media, the judiciary, the courts, the police, they're weapons. And they're weapons that are used to attack and silence. But the problem they had, that video, when they come for me, the YouTube channel that they removed it from had 200,000 views. So all that had watched this film was 200,000 people. They obviously then, I'm detained under the Terrorism Act. They let me go. Court case comes. I fly back to the UK. They sentence me in court. I go to court where they tell me to remove the video. And I said, and they said if I remove the video, I can receive a massively substantial less sentence and I'll be able to go, but I have to delete the video. So I'm not deleting the video. I'm just not deleting the video. Partly because they thought they were putting me on trial. I was putting them on trial for the world.
Yeah.
I think, you idiots, I'm not on trial here. You're on trial. Because everyone's going to watch this film. Well, I hoped everyone would watch this film. The film ended up being watched by 167 million people. It was the most watched British documentary there's ever been. Because Elon Musk pinned it. Elon Musk watched it. So I had all these hopes, yeah? And I knew I was running a risk by putting the film out. But you have to realise my history. I've gone through 15 years of this, yeah? Attacks, court cases, imprisonments, slander, all these things. So here I am. This is now my opportunity to show the world their lies. So I knew I was going to go to jail. I was scared. I end up in jail. I get 18 months. I'm transferred to a maximum security prison near here. I'm in the maximum security prison and I'm held on solitary confinement. I'm 7 weeks into that solitary confinement sentence. And I ring home to my son and I'm feeling anyway, because it's a weird thing to explain. I'm feeling because it's just you. I went into Wood Hill prison and left 7 months later without seeing or speaking to her.
7 months straight, you're sitting
7 months in a room. So
in a prison cell.
In a prison cell, yeah.
Lights or book or
lights. I got took out of the cell for 3 hours a day and taken over to a unit on my own. So I get walked out of there because this was a civil offence. It's not a criminal offence. It's a civil offence.
For a civil offence, you're put in solitary confinement for 7 months, not able to speak with a single other person.
7 months. So, but after 7 weeks of that sentence,
that's like human torture.
That's exactly what it is. Solitary confinement is torture. They know that. So in the UK legal system, you're only allowed to hold someone in solitary confinement for 14 days. Google it. It's called the Mandela Rule. The European Union have the Mandela Rule. People cannot be held in solitary confinement because of the detrimental effect it has to your mental health. So when I land in this maximum security prison and I'm brought in, there's 16 cells here. 16, yeah? In what is called the block, which is the segregation unit of a prison. So if you stab someone in prison, you get put here, yeah? As a punishment. So these cells are not normal cells. They're just, there's nothing, a blue mat. That's all there is, yeah? Because you're not allowed to be in there in case you stab someone or break something. You can't, like normal cells have a normal toilet. This doesn't. Everything is can't be broken. It's just like everything. There's nothing in there, yeah? So I get put in there, and they move it. So there's 16 cells, and it's just me in 16 cells. There's no one in the cells. They clear it all, so it's just silent, yeah? I get put in there, and I have the first meeting with a psychologist, because when you're held in segregation, you have to have a board every 2 weeks with mental health, doctors, and the governor of the prison. So in my first board, I asked the psychologist, I said, is this your plan? Just to put me in that room for 9 months. And I asked the psychologist, you're the expert here. What's that going to do to a man to put me in there and sleep me like that? She said, it's going to be devastating. I said, how are you doing it? How and why are you doing it? And they kept saying my safety. So they say that because the jail they brought me to is a maximum security prison where 50% of the prisoners are doing life for murder and 44% of the prison was Muslim. Why am I here? It's got some of the country's worst terrorists in the jail. I'm here for playing a film. I made a documentary. What's going on? Yeah, but they done that intentionally because after 7 months they'd hoped it would totally break me. Because I'd done 3-4 months like this before. I'd done 22 weeks. I struggled. It took me years when I come out of jail to try and get myself back to being a bit normal. I struggled massively. Yeah, so I land in there. I'm on solitary confinement. I start noticing the difference in myself as well, in how I'm feeling. You end up, even though I'd have a visit, the family would come for a visit. I don't want to go on a visit. And then I go sit on the visit. I just want to go back to the cell because you come isolated. You want to isolate yourself then. So even when I come out of jail, I have to push myself out of isolation and push myself into positions where I'm feeling like a nervous wreck after 7 months of sitting in a room. It's mental. Yeah? But 7 weeks in, I get a phone call and I ring my son and he's like, Dad. I'm like, what? Elon Musk shared the film. Elon Musk had pinned the tweet. And at that point then, I felt like I wasn't on solitary confinement. I knew that my mission had been successful for the film. I said to my son when I sat them down before, if I can release this film and get 10 million people to see it, there's 10 million people going to know the judiciary is corrupt. 10 million people are going to understand what's happening in this country, how it's weaponised. And that was the goal, 10 million people. And he's like, Dad, it went straight. It was on it's 140 million people, Dad. And I'm in my cell and I'm just like, yes, man, yes, we've done it. And from that, Elon Musk then shared my first series of The Rape of Britain. I've done a 5-part series. So the most important work I've ever done is exposing the rape gangs of Britain that target our daughters. And Elon Musk then shared that film. So it was a great moment for me, man. So one of the best moments in my life comes sat on solitary confinement. Because I sat there and I knew then that this imprisonment is going to damage them. It's not going to damage me. It's going to damage me, but this is going to damage them.
Yeah, so you've been willing to sacrifice yourself, the life of spending your time with your family for this cause of saving the United Kingdom. But I feel like you know that by saving the United Kingdom, you're not just saving, by trying to save the United Kingdom, you're also speaking up for other countries in Europe, for America as well.
When you voted for Donald Trump, that wasn't a vote to save America. That was a vote to save us. Mm-hmm. That was a vote to save the West.
Because I feel like right now you guys are at where we were just a few years ago.
We are, under Biden.
And now you guys have Keir Starmer. You guys are going to go digital IDs. You don't have freedom of speech. People are getting sent to jail for just liking tweets.
30 people a day.
30 people a day are going to jail every single day.
30 people a day are being detained and arrested for social media.
Every single day, 30 people a day for liking posts on social media. And you're kind of the only man that really had the guts to stand up when nobody else was.
Well, you get to hear my story. The difference with me is that I've got to a point where they can't get rid of me. Yeah, everyone knows the story.
Because how are you able to now go up and post Hamas?
They picked me for that. I got arrested for that.
Really?
I got arrested 2 months ago. I got detained.
But you just recently posted.
I keep posting it.
F Hamas, F Palestine.
I told them in the interview. So they nicked me for free Twitter posts. And they showed me the Twitter post and it's Hamas. I said, yeah, Hamas. Yeah. And again, from me now, I throw the gauntlet down. Yeah, take me to court, yeah. Go on then. Take me to court. Because by taking me to court, these secret little things that they've been doing for decades are no longer secret anymore. Like the film, Come and Get Me. You know, 167 million people. The million people you saw on the streets last week, it's because of that film. And lots of it is because people saw the film. So I got over 20,000 birthday cards when I was in prison. I got sacks and sacks and sacks and sacks of mail daily. Yeah, all I'd done all sat all day was read and dissect and realise, smiling, this hasn't worked. You have actually helped. Now, what's my goal as a journalist? What's my goal as an activist, and what's my goal as an Englishman?
Yeah, because you're just a journalist. You're just an activist. You're somebody like me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe 20 years from now, they're doing the same thing to me if the United States ever goes
Goes
that
rogue.
far back.
Yeah.
But I don't think we are. But you're just somebody who saw what was happening in the country. You've been exposed it. Then you were attacked by the people who you thought would probably be like excited that you exposed it, right? I'm sure at one point you felt like, oh, maybe finally like the UK, the government's going to be like, amazing, he's shown everybody this. But what you realized was completely the opposite.
Well, the country I thought I lived in 2009, when I first started talking, I very quickly realised was a very different country. I thought I lived in the beacon, the land of freedom and democracy, Great Britain, the Magna Carta. I thought that was the country I lived in. And then I realised, shit, there is no free speech.
And when did they start taking away freedom of speech?
Well, there's a facade that you have freedom of speech. It's a facade. We live in a post-free speech era across Europe. There is no free speech. And we don't have many people who actually believe in it. At least you actually believe in it. Americans have a strong belief in free speech. Our government hate it. They hate it. They hate us having freedom to talk, discuss. But the reason being that if we can talk, we can expose their policy failures. All the problems I talk about, mass immigration, Islamic rape gangs, jihad, terrorism, all of them are policy failures on behalf of our government. These people shouldn't be here. The border should have been closed. The rape gangs should have been arrested. So when I started talking about it, yeah, you'd think they were happy, but then when you start delving into it, you realise police forces, police leaders, community leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, they all knew what was going on. So all of them have got dirty hands here. All of them, if we're able to expose everything, have allowed this to happen. They need to be imprisoned themselves. They didn't want anyone to expose it, and rather than deal with, if you've got 1,000 jihadists here and you've got one bloke here talking about them, they've chose to crush the one bloke. That's what they've done. And they've done that to me, but to many people like me. Again, you hear Tommy Robinson's story. There's so many other Tommy Robinsons that you didn't get to hear their story, who have been put in prison, who have been silenced, who have been attacked, who have been scared.
When you're just laying in bed at night, do you feel like you're at war?
Oh, we are at war. Oh, we're totally at war.
At the rally, the last rally, I was walking the streets as with the people as well, seeing what was going on. I mean, I heard chants of like, Allah, Allah, who the F is Allah?
Yeah.
That's not a good, that's not probably the best thing you want to be hearing if you're a Muslim here inside the United Kingdom.
Yeah, well,
as somebody who...
Unfortunately, the phrase Allah Akbar has not been destroyed by us.
Yeah.
It's been destroyed and become synonymous with what? With aggression, with domination, with jihad, with attacks. So from a British man's point of view, we're fed up of hearing fucking Allah Akbar. We're fed up of it. We're sick to death of it. It's chanted, not in a religious way, in an aggressive, in a dominating way. It's chanted in an abusive way, in a sectarian way. So people, British men, we sing songs to do with football and get our messages across. Allah, Allah, Allah. Who the is Allah? We're fed up of hearing about him. We're fed up, sick to death of it.
So
I can understand people thinking, well, Allah Akbar, but then you have to put it in comparison to what people are reacting to. Reacting to jihad, reacting to terrorism. Allah Akbar, you're sitting in the UK. 48 hours ago, a man screamed Allah Akbar while murdering people in Manchester. Yeah? Every Westminster Bridge, Allah Akbar, while stabbing women in the neck. Allah Akbar while blowing up a concert for the young children. So that response of Allah, Allah, who the f*** is Allah, is in response to that.
if you're a Muslim living in the United Kingdom, should you be worried?
Well, no Muslim little girls have been raped by gangs of Englishmen. So should they be worried? Who's worried? We're worried. It's us that are worried. It's not Muslims or mosques that are getting blown to pieces. It's us. It's churches. It's synagogues. So should they be worried? The country is awake now to what Islam is. I don't want individual, innocent, decent Muslims to be worried or feel fear. But they have to understand the fear that we feel. We feel a fear for our country. We feel a fear for the future. We feel a fear for our daughters. And we're sick to death of it, to be honest.
At what point does this break out from a revolution to civil war?
We're already in a civil war. Not a civil war, we're at war. If our security services wouldn't have stopped the jihad attacks, then every single month for the last... Jesus, man. Every month for the last 10 years, there'd have been football stadiums, aeroplanes, nightclubs. People would realise we're in a war zone already. Yeah? But we have a great security services. We have 40,000 British Muslims on the terror watch list. 40,000 of them.
So every single day, people of Great Britain know that they have 40,000 people
among us.
Among you guys.
And out of that 40,000
labeled as terrorists.
Out of that 40,000.
But then you're also labeled as a terrorist.
Well, no, I'm detained under terrorism legislation.
Underneath the terrorism act that classify you.
No, but these are 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list to be watched. Now, out of that 40,000, 3,000 of them are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, that costs £9 billion a year.
And are they just walking around?
Yeah, they're out, yeah. So basically, our government know that they're a danger and they're a threat, and rather than do anything about it, which we should be interning them, because we're in a war, they should be interned into prisoner of war camps, because they should be, because they're the enemy of this country, yeah. But they're just walking around waiting to commit attack. They're just following them, waiting for them to do something. And all the last attacks, like the attack this week, he wasn't in the top. He wasn't even in the 40,000.
Yeah.
So what are these other men like? So, yeah, it's just we're waiting for these men to attack us. Half of those men are on dual nationality passports, so they shouldn't even be here. They shouldn't even be here. But if you look at 40,000, when we have a Muslim population, it's an army.
It's an army.
We've only got 70,000 armed forces. Now, 40,000, if you double the Muslim population, if we keep, it doubled every 10 years in Manchester. In Manchester, the city where the last attack was, when the Ariana Grande concert attack happened, 26 people blown up. Now, Salman Abedi, whose father come here, he was part of a terrorist organisation, we give him refugee status, same as this latest one. He come here. I looked at the statistics for Manchester. The Muslim community went from 25,000 to 50,000 over 10 years. The next 10 years, it went from 50,000 to 100,000. Now, if we carry this on, the next 10 years, it's going to go to 200,000, then 400,000. There's only 500,000 people in Manchester. So you're a generation away from losing the whole city. Now, America really needs to wake the fuck up, yeah? Because we've been given warnings for 15 years of how quickly this can happen and how dominant Islam comes. And it's happening there. It's now happening in your cities. I see what they're doing in Texas. I see what they're doing in Dearborn. You see it all.
Well, the biggest city in America, New York City.
Muslim mayor.
They're about to elect a Muslim mayor.
Yeah, and not just a Muslim mayor, but a radical sympathiser to jihad Muslim mayor. It's insane. But America needs to wake up. But we've watched all this. So when you look in Manchester, it's doubling every 10 years. Now, what would happen if my hometown is called Luton Town. When I was born in 1982, we had one mosque. We now have 45. Yeah? I've watched it. We're a minority. English are a minority. Yeah? It's a Pakistani city. So what does that bring? And how does it change? Now, in 2013, I looked at the figures for the community. I looked at the demographical change predicted by 2030, a 17-year period. The Pakistani and Bangladeshi community were going to increase by 70 to 77%. Yeah? Our community, white and black, by 1.3 to 1.4. So this is why the government bend, which is why the Democrats, all of them will bend. Yeah? Because if you're the Labour Party, the Democrat Party equivalent in Luton, what's the future of Luton? Well, it's Bangladeshi and Pakistani. It's Labour. It's Muslim. Which is why we just recognise the state of Palestine. Because Labour have to. Because their future and if they want power, it's coming from Muslims. It's not coming from us. So what I've seen in my upbringing is that we, white, working class English people, we're irrelevant now. We don't matter. Because the local council do a deal. They do a deal with the local council and mosques. And the local council and mosques, 45 mosques, will guarantee them 50,000 votes. Done. That's it. We're done. Town's done.
Yeah, because at that point they had so many people.
That's it.
In the United States, they try to do that with open borders underneath the Biden and Harris administration.
That's why they let 8 million in. But they won't try to do it. The demographic and the birth rate of the Muslim community will become so strong in towns and cities. Because they have five...
So our immigration is two different things from America to the United Kingdom.
Yeah, totally.
You guys have people coming from the Middle East,
Yeah, but so have you for the last 8 years. What were you for the last four to 8 years? America, you've always had Hispanic immigration, Mexican immigration, which a lot of people moaned about. And I remember when they moaned about it, thinking, "Oh, you've got no idea." No, wait till you have Pakistani, Afghani, Somali, which is what you've now had. So for the last 4 years, it's not really been Hispanic, or it has been Hispanic, but they've brought them all in from Syria, from Afghanistan, all the Middle East, all the Islamic countries have been flooding through the United States borders. You're going to see now. You're going to see the problems, really are. But then you have a government that's probably going to help deal with it and not hide from it. Unfortunately, our government appease it.
Yeah, in the United States, in big cities like Minneapolis, like where we let in so many Somalian refugees, at this point now they've
took over everything. Took over everything.
It's not even really the same place.
It's never going to be the same place. It's now an Islamic stronghold.
Like, will the United Kingdom ever become what it used to be? Like, will they ever be able to deport people that come over the English Channel illegally? Like,
well, they need to. You need remigration.
But like, is it too far to the point where it's been going on for so many years now that you have babies that the shape of the UK is just cooked?
It doesn't look good, but if we have to accept there's always hope. If we look at the Islamic community, it still says 6 or 7%. I think it's more, but it's still only 6 or 7%. We are still the vast majority, but we need to start. The Keir Starmer, this government, was voted in on a 20% basis. 20%. They of the British public, 20% of them voted for his government. 80% didn't.
So what happened to what were the other 80% doing?
9 million. Keir Starmer was voted in on 9 million votes. 20 million people didn't even vote. Now, from our point of view, which is what our plan was to captivate those 20 million, to galvanise them, to electrify them, to give them, that 20 million is us, as in British working class. We've been told our voice doesn't matter, and our opinion doesn't matter. And it does. And if what you saw on the 13th of September was the next step, which was over millions in our capital city. We have our next step, yeah? If we have 3 years to election, if we can reach that 20 million and we can give them a sense of identity and purpose and belonging and belief and hope and courage that they can change this country, you get that 20 million, we save this country. You politicise them, we win. Yeah? It's an uphill battle, but that's what we have to do, and that's what our goal's been. And I think 13th of September would have put shivers through the corrupt establishment. They will be shitting themselves. That's the biggest. If you can bring 1 million or 2 million on the streets, how many are sitting at home supporting you? Now they know, and now for me,
the response you guys got from that, Keir Starmer said that it should send shivers to the people of the United Kingdom.
Fucking good. It should send shivers to the corrupt politicians of the United Kingdom, not the people in the United Kingdom.
The mayor said we must unite to reject the far right. The media said far-right London rallies sees record crowds and violent clashes with police. Clashes in London as 110,000 people joined far-right rally against immigration.
110,000 is ridiculous, isn't it?
It is ridiculous.
When you see
I was there. You could see people for
millions. There's millions.
Streets were filled. The biggest far-right march in Britain history. This is another one. Tommy Robinson's Day of Rage.
Do you know what's mad? You were there. You watched it. You took part in it. You experienced it. Was it a day of rage? Or was it a day of beauty?
It was not a day of rage.
Gospel bands.
There were some fights that broke out, but
those fights broke out because
they were provoked. What I saw when I was there at September 13th, everyone was excited. Everyone was happy. Everyone was marching down the streets. They all had their flags. It was just like a swarm of flags. A great day of people were just expressing their love for their country. And then towards the end, I walked back, and this is where I saw the fights break out. I saw the police. What the police did is they barricaded you guys. They did a very good job by putting you guys in Whitehall. You guys had potentially 1 million and up to 3 million people there. So they put you guys inside of Whitehall. Not very big. It's like there's probably 4 lanes, right? They put you guys in there, and then just to get out, it took me about 20 minutes to walk from the stadium to leave, because that's how many people were inside the crowd. And then I left, and I was walking back towards Trafalgar Square, and I noticed a small group of protesters people that were going to see you speak because you're about to go speak. And at this point, the police had set up a barricade to block off the far left protesters that had signs of the anti-Tommy Robinson, and they had the Palestinian flags. It was Antifa, all those people, right? So they barricaded the people. They had the police on one side, the protesters on the other, and then the people that were there to listen to you speak. The people that were there for the rally or protest, whatever you want to call it. The police then, one man stepped over, and he started going after the police because they started shoving back and forth. And then the police came all the way over their barricade and pushed everybody down another block. And that's when you see a guy get beat with a baton.
I see it. I saw it on your video.
It was very much provoked.
But you know the maddest thing? When you say it's provoked, our supporters were never meant to be on that road. So we had an agreement with the police the whole time, yeah? Because we knew where their far left were. They were behind our event. So our supporters were never... That road that runs along the river, that was supposed to be blocked off the whole time. And what the police done is, I'm going to put it down to whether they were set up, whether the police set us up, or whether it was sheer scale of numbers that they just didn't prepare for. Yeah? There were so many people, every road was full. Our supporters then ended up in a road that the police put them in, yeah, that they never should have been in. And when they put them in that road, they then locked them off. So then they blocked our supporters in a little side road next to the far left extremists. When, for all our negotiating with the police, these roads were never meant to be open. Our supporters are meant to be kept on this bit, so we never see them. Yeah. So yeah, an incident like that happens. I just put it down to look, millions on the streets. If we look yesterday, there was a demonstration yesterday by pro-Palestinian. There were 490 arrests. Our event had millions on the streets. There was only 1,000 people. Our event had millions on the streets. There were 26 arrests, and I think 18 of them were from the other side. It says 10 arrests, roughly, from millions of people. And when they say a day of rage, they keep digging their own graves, all of them. Remember, 8 million people watched live. 8 million people watched that event online on X, just on X, yeah? 8 million, okay? That's 8 million people who saw a day of celebration, a day of beauty, singing songs, speeches, everything. They didn't see a day of rage. Then you've got the millions that went, and 99% of them didn't see a day of rage. So when they see these headlines, they just think, well, that's bullshit. It's just lies, it's smears. But the problem for the government is, where we're at now is, people were scared. They're not scared now. I'm telling you, something massive has changed. So I see people talking on camera now, women outside hotels, organically organising themselves, that never would have spoken on camera 2 years ago.
The majority of people I saw were just patriots for the country. They all had the flags. You also saw a lot of people that had just gone for the first time. I asked a few older ladies, I said, is this your first time ever coming? And they were saying, yes, this is our first time ever coming to an event like this. You're seeing protests erupt here every single week outside of migrant hotels as the government is shielding the people that are inside these migrant hotels who have been known for committing crimes like rape, for other grievous things. Why does the United Kingdom, and it seems like all of Europe, why do they feel like it's the need for them to accept all these people from
the government,
from the Middle East?
Because the government are working off a globalist agenda, not a nationalist agenda.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how dangerous is what they've done to society here, as far as keeping the Western civilization, Western culture?
No, we're at a crossroads. This is the most pivotal moment in this country's history, 1,000 years of history. We're closer now to losing Great Britain than I think we've ever been. We're going to lose our culture, our identity, and our future. They're changing the demographics of this nation like that. We're being replaced. British Christians are being replaced. They're flooding the country. You can look at illegal immigration, 50,000 coming in on boats, but look at legal immigration. They brought 1 million in 1 year. 1 million in 1 year.
So people shouldn't really, the big concern shouldn't be the illegal. It should be the legal.
It's illegal. It's all of it. They're literally flooding the nation. They're not flooding it with doctors, scientists. They're flooding it with the arse end of Islamic Sharia-driven wars. Somalia, Eritrea, Afghanistan. Afghanistan men for conviction rates in the UK are 22 times more likely to rape. Why are we letting any of them in? Why? You know, you said about hotels. We have had 25 children sexually abused by migrants in hotels, 9 women raped, conviction-wise. We've had a terrorist attack from a migrant in a hotel. These are men we're paying for them to be in these hotels. And then the community, I don't know if you saw what happened in Epping. The local community took the Home Office to court, for the safety of the community because a 14-year-old girl was sexually abused. There was lots of attacks in Epping. Now, Epping is an area where most people have fled East London to get away from the Muslim demographic that's took over their town. They've gone to an English area. Now they're bringing the migrants into the hotels in the English area. The migrants are sexually assaulting the children on the way to school. They took the Home Office to court. They won. The Home Office appealed it, and the judge overruled and said the rights of the migrants come before the rights of the local community.
How do they put the migrants over the citizens?
That's the country, that's the government. Because the government, Keir Starmer's not working for the interests of the British public. He's working for a globalist agenda. The globalist agenda is to flood our nations. The United Nations are flooding us. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake that every single Western country, every single Western Christian country is being flooded. These NGO groups that bring them in on boats are government funded by the European Union. Germany funds organisations and boats to literally, when they come off the coast of Libya, they're picked up, they're brought to the next stop. They're fed, they're clothed, they're fed, they're brought to the next stop. It's a human trafficking cycle into our countries, which is going to destabilise the host nation, destabilise our community, break down our community spirit. They're flooding every European nation.
Why does Europe feel the need to bring in all these people? You say it's a globalist agenda.
Yep.
Why do you feel like they decided to go with this globalist?
Well, if you look at what they're saying now, the government have come out and said, the Labour government, because of illegal migration, the people they're bringing in, yeah, they're purposely bringing in housing, feeding, homing, giving priority over all British people. They now need to bring in a digital ID. So they create the problem. Now, the level of violence, the level of rapes, the level of... In 2003, there were 8,000 rapes in the UK. Yeah? In 2023, there were 88,000.
88?
88. From 8,000, 20 years later, to 88,000. Now, if we got the same percentage, in another 20 years, what are we going to have? 800,000? That's where we're going. Yeah, that's where we're going. And what will the public end up crying and demanding and needing? More law, more order, more cameras, more surveillance. So they create the problem. They bring in people that they know are violent. They know it's not going to work. They know are going to cause mass disorder, chaos, carnage, fear, rape, murder, terrorism. They're flooding our country with it. They know what they're doing. And then they bring in the solution. Digital IDs. 15-minute cities. You can't leave here. You can't leave there. Everything's on camera. We need to know every second of every minute of your life. And then they want us all to literally lose our freedoms. There can be no other explanation. Digital IDs. So Donald Trump cut your border crossings by 95% in a week, pretty much. We need a digital ID, apparently. We're a bloody island. We're an island. It's not hard to defend this island. It's not hard to stop illegal migrants. It's not hard. Let's not pretend it is. Put the Navy there. You can stop them tomorrow. In fact, if you just deport everyone that comes, they're going to stop coming anyway. But you don't deport them. You house them. You feed them. You give them money. You give them everything. So you're drawing them in. You're actually inviting them. In my Irish documentary, yeah? I've done an island documentary called Plantation 2, Rise of the Celts. And when I went there, I looked at Irish politicians, and this Irish politician translated in 6 different languages. And what he translated, when we translated it, which went out in 6 different nations, so they literally promoted that if you come to Ireland as a refugee, within 3 months you'll be given your own house key to your own home. Yeah? So I took what they'd done. Here's their social media posts for the Irish government in these 6 nations, and they translated it in 6 different languages. Urdu, this language. And then I matched the next year's intake of refugees. And guess what? It's the 6 countries. It's not a mistake. You've gone out, the island have gone out and welcomed and invited all of these Africans and migrants into the country and promised them homes. And then they're saying this migrant crisis. No, you created the crisis. You've planned it all. You're flooding Ireland. You've changed the demographic of Ireland in 5 years. Yeah? Ireland doesn't look like Ireland anymore. Yeah? And you've done it all under the influence. Who's in charge of Ireland? It's not the Irish. It's the European Union. The European Union are doing what? Where's this come from? The Barcelona Declaration? All of this. Eurabia, the plan to mix Europe and Africa, the plan to flood all of our countries. It's all happening. And it's all planned. And it's not even hidden. None of it's hidden. When you start looking for it, you can read all their meetings that they're having, all their plans, what the United Nations say. That's what their plan is. And then you elect Donald Trump. And Donald Trump acts as a barrier or hopefully, an attempt to save the Christian West, hopefully to save Europe. And then that gives inspiration and gives courage. The ripple, I've now got a YouTube channel. I didn't have 4 months ago. Yeah? That's come from the ripple of the United States, from your election. To see J.D. Vance sit down and tell the European Union that the enemy is not Russia or China, the enemy is within. You're the enemy. Yeah? What you're doing to your own people, the taking of freedom of speech, all of these things. So we have hope because we listen to your politicians who are the only people standing up for us as British citizens to stop our attempted slavery and our attempts to take all of our rights and freedoms is J.D. Vance, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. There's no British politicians. So they're all captured.
Would you say those 3 people, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance, are working more for you guys than any other politician?
But they're working more for Europe. They're working more for all of us. They are fighting for our freedoms. We wouldn't even have hope if you hadn't elected Donald Trump.
Where do you think civilization would have gone? The Western civilization would have gone.
It would have gone exactly where they wanted to go. Look, what did America look like for those 4 years? What did it look like?
What did a full-on invasion coming through the border every single day?
It wouldn't have stopped. And then what does it look like in another 4 years and another 8 years? Your country's not unrecognisable. Well, that's how our country is now. That's how we are now. And they're still flooding it. It's still happening.
Because your guys' border, like you said, you guys are on an island.
We can stop it tomorrow.
They could stop it within a day.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's legal migration. They're bringing it all in. They're literally flying them in. They're flying them in. So you had your political revolution under Donald Trump, I'd say. Yeah? You had your fight. We need that. But to get people into a position of that, we've had a harder job to wake them up because of censorship and the way they've demoralised everyone and apathy and all these things, which is where our cultural revolution comes in, which then plays into the cultural revolution, creates the political revolution.
And do you think Brexit was a good idea?
Brexit was a great idea, but we haven't had Brexit. We haven't had it. Nigel Farage stepped away, done a deal and just walked off, never went through with it. So we need a government that's actually going to give us Brexit. Brexit was voted to stop immigration. They accelerated immigration straight after it.
And in the EU right now, for countries like Poland, they're the only country that, them and I believe Hungary, are the only countries that won't accept migrants and they get fined every single
year. Yeah, they're getting fined, and they're getting fined and attacked.
But they're also the safest countries, isn't it?
They're the safest for terrorism, for rapes, for everything. But Poland, that is the future. I'd say the future, I sit here quite happy at the minute, because I've gone through this for 15 years. There is a mass awakening happened. There's a revolution brewing. People are awake. This problem's not going away. People are not going to be silent on this. People understand what's a risk. When you see, there's also a Christian revival happening, because as you lose your identity and you lose your culture, you start searching for where it come from. What built Britain? The Bible built Britain. That's the reality. Yeah? Christianity built Britain. The reason why this is the most successful nation, why Western civilization is superior to any other civilization, is because of Christianity. And they attack Christianity. They've tried to demoralise and they've infiltrated the church. They've weakened it. But masculine Christianity is on the rise. Young men are searching again and they're finding church. They're finding their faith. They're finding what made us the country we are.
In wokeism, it's pretty much the idea of wokeism is taking God out of society.
And what replaces it? What replaces God? What's replaced God in Great Britain? LGBTQ+, Marxism, communism, Islam. There's a void that's been left.
Because if it's not God, if it's not from God, it's from the devil.
It's from the devil. All of those points I just made are from the devil. All of them. But if you remove God, you leave a void. What fills that void? Which ideology? Now, our government get on their knees to every ideology that wishes to destroy everything that's great and successful about this nation. And Christianity, and I've gone through my own journey on Christianity, because I wasn't a Christian. Yeah? I've gone through my own process. A massive wake-up call for me was the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. To see Christianity under such attack, to then know if they're attacking it this much all the time, there must be a reason why. And if there's such evil and depravity and Satanism and such evil, there has to be the counterbalance. And what is the counterbalance? It's Christianity. And then we need to re-find our faith again. And even to people, I say, even if you don't believe in Jesus, the way of life that built this country, the success of this nation, come from this. The values that all of us, and I only realised myself when I started dissecting the Bible, which I've never done. Everything comes from the Bible. Every core, every belief, every saying, it's all come out of here. And we've lost it. Poland hasn't lost it. See, Poland's still strong in their culture and identity and religious belief. So it hasn't lost it. Hungary's still strong. The countries that have lost it are the Western nations where the church has weakened. Our church is pathetic. So our latest now, the new Archbishop, pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-abortion, pro-LGBTQ. You don't represent the church.
Mm-hmm. And on the topic of Christianity and the topic of kind of somewhat violence in the United States, and you're seeing it in Europe as well, with the death and assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've seen far left get more and more dangerous. Just since Charlie Kirk, you've had people shoot at ICE officials in the United States. You're seeing Antifa on the rise.
But that's all encouraged again. All of it's orchestrated, all of it's planned, all of it's funded. It's not a mistake. All these groups, they're like government boot boys. Well, they were, but now Trump's in. I just saw they're going to dismantle Antifa. It's the best news you can ever get. Because Antifa have been used as a weapon on behalf of the establishment and the globalist agenda to terrify anyone, to attack everyone, to beat everyone. And then not just that, your politicised court systems. Then don't prosecute them. Then let them go. BLM riots, just let everyone go. It's insane. And then you look at the judges that let them go, and they've usually come through, all been funded by George Soros. He needs imprisonment. They need to finish George Soros. That man and his ideas and his foundations are responsible for the destruction of the West. And someone has to now, he has to pay for it.
Why has George Soros done so much to try to dismantle?
For his worldview, for the globalist plan, they want to destroy the West. They don't want America to be a superpower. They want to bring America down. They want China to be the superpower. And America nearly were losing all of these battles until you elected Trump.
With Antifa and with these domestic terrorist groups in the United States now, we always hear the word George Soros. What involvement does he really have in what's going on? And
he pulls the strings in all of it. And even if he dies, he's sorted out so that his corporations and his movement and all of the policies and all of the where he wants his agendas will continue. The money will just continue. Now, everything. So the groups in our country that are pro-open borders and their job is to attack anyone who exercises their free speech, to demonise them, to contact their HR companies. There's a group called Hope Not Hate in the UK, George Soros funded. All of the groups which are open borders, mass, and to attack a free speech and to create an atmosphere of fear where people are scared to talk, George Soros. All of it. I can't believe he hasn't been taken down by the American government. I can't believe now Trump's in. The attacks on Elon Musk's businesses, the attacks against Tesla, it will be all coming power, money, organised. Antifa, all of it.
Do these people...
They're all funded. All these demonstrations, they're funded. Like their demonstration against us. Now, they're funded through the UK from the unions. We had our demonstration, you saw millions of people. The opposition was 5,000 people. All the coaches were free. Everything was paid for them. Everything was paid for. And they can only get 5,000 people. But yeah, George Soros needs taken down. George Soros is the enemy of freedom, the enemy of Christianity, and the enemy of the West.
Tommy, you kind of got your start from exposing what was happening inside of your hometown. Yeah. With the rise of Islam, you saw it from, you say, one mosque all the way to 48? 45 mosque. And the rise of Islam here, are they here to be friends with you guys? Or what's their plan, do you think?
So Islam's not here to integrate, it's here to dominate. And all any of us have to do, it takes 10 minutes, just research. There's 45 countries that have, Islam has come in as a minority and then waged a war and took over the country. Yeah? Look at Lebanon, not even that long ago. Look at what happened in Iran. Yeah, and then what happens is the left align with them. The left align, which we saw in Lebanon, we saw in Iran, and we're seeing now. The Islamists and the far left come together. And they come together because both of them wish to overthrow democracy and freedom. Now, they don't like each other, okay, because they hate each other, because the left and the communists hate all religion, yeah? But they come together for their common enemy, and their common enemy is democracy and freedom. And they'll work together. But each time, which the thick left don't realise, as they did in Iran, as they did in Lebanon, when the Islamists and the jihadists win, They're the first to go. They're the first to go. So yeah, Islam is not here to integrate or assimilate. It's not. It doesn't have it. It's not in the vocabulary of the teachings of Islam. Dominance, conquest, supremacy. That's what Islam is.
In the UK right now, it is the rape capital of Europe. Per 100,000 people, 109. That's numbers. In Sweden, for instance, 1 in 4 women are projected to be raped. And here in the United Kingdom, 30% of women have been sexually assaulted.
Yeah, by who? Ask the question. So in Sweden, who are they going to be raped by? Mm-hmm. Is it blonde-haired Swedes?
Yeah, because it wasn't like this forever ago.
No, you can actually do a graph. So you have Islamic immigration.
It's gone up 500%.
Yeah.
In Sweden.
The graph's like this. Islamic immigration, rape. That's it. So you have Islamic immigration comes into your country. Like as I said, 2003, 8,000 rapes. 2023, 88,000 rapes. Well, what's changed in those 20 years? I'll tell you what's changed. The Islamic demographic of these countries changed. And they rape their way through every country they go to because of their views on women and their views on non-Muslims. And the fact that the Quran says 4 times explicitly that they can take non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. In Telford, in Bradford, in Oldham, in Rotherham, in Rochdale, in all these towns and cities, we hear of many Americans may have heard of the word grooming. Grooming is a rape jihad. They call it grooming. It's a pretty little word they give us. Grooming is what you do to your dog. This is rape jihad. This is young British English girls being taken by groups and hordes of Islamic men and targeted in the most horrific torture and sexual abuse you could ever think of. And whilst they're doing this, the council, police and government let them do it. Say that out loud. Like, if you actually just say it out loud. Great Britain, the most civilised, one of the best countries in the world, what you think from your country is Great Britain, and what the world would view Great Britain as, allowed an invading army of barbarians from Islamic house to rape their way through a generation of our daughters. And they let them do it. And the reason the police let them do it, and this isn't my opinion, this has come out in all the government investigations in all the different cities, the reason why they let them do it was because they didn't want to be called racist. So, an entire police force, every institution was paralysed with the fear of being called a racist. And that's how powerful political correctness is. People think about how powerful is it? It made men stand and watch children be raped. Mad. And then when men like us started finding out about it in every town and city and trying to highlight it, they then wanted to crush us. Not crush the gangs, they crushed us.
The idea of nationalism has kind of been victimized, like people attack you for wanting the best for your own country.
Well, and now that's gone. See, we haven't even been able to say, this is our country. Yeah, people haven't felt confident enough to say, this is our country. When I say our country, this isn't Somalia, it's not Pakistan, it's not Iraq. They can go back to those countries. Where are we going to go? We're a minority already in many towns and cities. Yeah? If we continue down this trend of mass open border immigration, of Islamic demographical change to this country, where are we meant to go? And which Islamic country gives minorities rights? Which one? Where Muslims are a majority, where is it a good human rights record? Where are there minority rights for the Christians or Jews? There's not. There's genocide, like happening now in Nigeria. People keep going on about Palestine and the genocide. Bullshit. There's no genocide in Palestine. Yeah? The genocide is in the Jewish populations and Christian populations of the Middle East. They went from 3 million to 300,000. Yeah? Look at the Syrian Christian population. Where are they gone? Where are they? They're dead. They're being burned alive now. Being burned alive by jihadists who have took over the country. So,
and now we welcome those same people here. And if
they're all here. Our armed forces were sent to fight the Taliban and fight Al Qaeda and fight ISIS. And whilst they're fighting them over there, they're all just being bussed in, flown in, and then taking over our towns and cities. They take over our towns and cities. Every prison in this country is took over. America, they are going to take your prison system. You have no idea. You think you had black gangs and Asian and white gangs. You're going to have Islam, it's going to dominate every jail. And then what it does, and then it gets the most vulnerable. And it gets people, most people in jail, I've done my prison sentences, I've met lots of people. Most people in prison have been wronged their whole life. They're there for a reason because they've been wronged. They've started on the wrong path, with the wrong family, with the wrong drug addiction, with criminality, with fatherless homes. They've been wronged their whole life. Islam then takes them and turns them against the system. And it gives them a sense of identity, belief, and brotherhood. And it gives them the enemy. And guess what the enemy is? It's going to be America. They're building an army. Right from our prison system, MI5's figures, not mine, 800 come out radicalised every year. They are building an army of the toughest, hardest, most criminal men.
So you're saying from inside the prison system...
They're building an army.
They're building the army.
They're building an army.
So when somebody like...
Someone gets 20 years, they get converted in jail, yeah, by these
converted to Islam.
Everyone's converted to Islam. Everyone. As I'll just give you the figures for Wood Hill Prison. 6% of this country is Muslim, 44% of the prison Muslim. Yeah? They're taking over. Every dispersal, every maximum security dispersal is now 50% Muslim. Yeah? They're taking over. Now, you take a hardened criminal who doesn't care about breaking the law, we know that, yeah? And for 5 years or 10 years, Sharia, Islam, jihad, then you open the prison gate. Excuse my language. Then they open the prison gate. And then those men, because of the Salafism and Wahhabism, the most extreme forms of Islam, the mosques that speak English are the Salafist mosques. So anyone who does convert, when they come out, they go straight to the radical mosques. That's it. We're losing every battle. We're losing every institution. They have taken over every institution and no one's stopping it. And the reason why they're not stopping it is because if you're told the truth, you need to stop. You need to separate Muslims from non-Muslims. In the prison system, have your Muslim jail. Yeah? Have your Muslim jail. But now we have a non-Muslim one where people are not going to be bullied, forcefully converted. They're being forced to convert. Beaten up and attacked unless they convert. You want food, because Muslims control everything in the prison system. You don't get, you want food, you'll get 5 chips. And then the Muslims get all loads of food because they give it to all the Muslims. Everything is being used. And there's so many battles being fought, we're losing all of them. And we're losing all of them because we have weak, cowardly leadership that won't identify or even talk about the problem. If you look through again, I started talking about prisons 20 years ago, when I first went in there. I started talking about what's going on there. Only now are they sort of, and even in the government investigations into the prisons, the reason why it wasn't dealt with, because they didn't want to upset the Muslims. They didn't want to be branded racist. So you didn't want to be branded racist, so you allowed vulnerable young Christian men to be bullied, intimidated, radicalised, converted, and sent out of prison as jihads. Many of the attacks that have come in this country of terrorism have come from prison converts. And what I mean is, your American system and your prison system, they're going to do it. They're doing it now. I've been watching videos. I'm looking at the demographics and the changing numbers of prison statistics. They're going to take over your prison system.
I've never thought about this.
Are they going to take over? Like your government really need to stop it now. Separate them now. Separate them. So why have we got all these Deobandi imams? Why have we even got imams? Get them out of the jails. Get it out. Get it out. Separate it. Stop it. Stop allowing them. Because you know what? The prison system is totally halal for them. They love it. It's great. Their pathway to heaven is conversions, and that's all they're doing all day. It's converting everyone.
Wow, so I've never thought about this as far as like the prison system. They could then use that to then teach, and then they release. Then they're out in the Islam Brotherhood. They have a whole entire community to go to.
They're using it. It's happening now. It's happening now. Now, Muhammad, if you know the life of Muhammad, so what Muhammad did, Muhammad would come, and to start when he started his teachings, who did he start with? It's the same as the prison system. He went to all the outcasts all the criminals who had been kicked out. So all the towns, all the wrong uns who had been kicked out. He went to them and said, look, God's told me we can go and rape all these people and take all their stuff.
How do we become like, is there a way to coexist?
Like Islam's never coexisted. Never peacefully coexisted. Ever. It's never happened. So why would America be different? Mm-hmm. Now, up 3%, 4%, 5%, yeah, okay.
Like for me, for instance, I'm young, so I've always had the goal of like wanting to be friends with and go to every country, go visit every person or visit every kind of kindred and tongue and experience everything, right? Me personally, I've never been able to have a full conversation with a Muslim woman, for instance.
You never will be able to.
And so that's like always been my thing. I'm like, well, if I want to speak with a Muslim woman, just to like understand what they believe in and stuff, I've had a few instances, and every single time a man comes in and makes her.
But this is...
So it's like, how do we become friends?
No, you're not going to become friends. There's no friendship. I've grown up in Luton Town. I went to school. We had the Muslim playground, non-Muslim playground. That's it. Mm-hmm. We didn't create that. Islam created that. The teachings of Islam prohibit its followers from integrating and assimilating with non-Muslims. They're not allowed to be friends of us. They're not allowed to. They can use you, but not allowed to. Now, when Islam's demographic gets to a certain percentage, then you have all-out jihad and war. They're all right in small numbers, but when the numbers grow, which is what we're seeing, then you get towns like Luton and Birmingham and Bradford, it's game over. It's game over.
And then
hostility, violence, attacks, oppression, and then the government bends to them, then they get into government, take over government. They're not here to integrate. What comes first? We shouldn't have any Muslim lead politicians, because what comes first to them? It's not America. It's not democracy.
Sharia law.
It's Islam. They'll tell you that. It's Islam. Islam is counter to all those things. It's like having a communist sitting at the head. His values go against all of them. Islamic values go against all of them. Mm-hmm. It's just telling the truth about it. But people don't want to hear the truth, because the truth is terrifying. Because if not, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? What are you going to do, America? You've let millions in. What are we going to do? There's millions in. They took over whole towns and areas now. What are you going to do? And they're all armed.
Is there any hope for Europe?
Yeah, there's hope.
Any hope for the United Kingdom?
There's hope because the country's now awake. It was difficult 10 years ago.
I want to point out something from your rally. There's a few statements that really stuck with me. I spoke to, and these are from women. These are from women who came out and supported it. And she's like, we aren't far right, we're just right. And then another lady said, awake is the new woke. Because a lot of the people coming out to the rally, they labeled you as far. They're labeled you as
just
far
normal
right.
people.
Are you far right?
No, never been far right.
And they label you as
not
far right.
Not far wrong.
Not far right, not far wrong. And like some of the stuff we've been speaking about is just, for instance, the statistics of rape.
Let me give you some statistics. I've done a 5-part series called The Rape of Britain. Yeah, it's a documentary series. You can watch any of my films at trfilms.co.uk. Watch these exposés, watch these investigations. So I went and spent 12 to 18 months in a town called Telford. And I picked Telford because Telford had 1,000 children raped by Muslims. Yeah? Telford has a 1.7% Muslim population. There's none there. Yeah? So out of that 1.7%, 1,000 children were raped, and a police investigation identified 200 men. Now, when you take the Muslim community in that small town, 3,000 of them, you get rid of the women, you get rid of the children, you've got 1,000 Muslim men, roughly. Yeah? The police identified 200. That's 20% of the men were raping kids. Now, I spent 12 to 18 months there. I identified in those 12 to 18 months investigation, I will show it all on the documentary, I identified 264 names, 26% of the Muslim men. An independent inquiry by solicitors firm identified over 300 men. So 20 to 30% of the Muslim men in that town were raping kids. In that small town with 1,000 Muslim men, 1,000 children have been raped and 5 are dead. Yeah? 5 have been burned alive and murdered. Now, that is the scale of the problem. Now, the only towns you've probably heard of in the United States of America is Telford and Rotherham. Yeah? Rotherham has a 3.7% Muslim population. There's none there. There's none really there. There's none in Telford. So the only 2 towns that we've been given the figures for how many children have been raped, Rotherham was 1,400 children in a 16-year period were raped by the Muslims. There's no Muslims there. Yeah? So what do you think the figures are like in Luton, where it's a 50% Muslim population, or in Bradford, or in Oldham? Now, when it all blew up recently, you saw it blow up on the news when Elon Musk challenged the government on the grooming gangs. That blew up because in a town called Oldham, which is 35% Muslim population, so you can imagine how many rapes there are, the local community wanted an independent inquiry into the rape gangs. But because Labour Council is controlled by the Muslims, they just kept shutting it down. They shut it down 5 times. The families were literally getting dragged out of the council offices, screaming and crying, and the council would just shut it down because the Muslim community controlled the council. So they shut down any investigation. So then there was people stood as independents, saying we will get an independent inquiry. So then the non-Muslim community voted for the independents to get in. So they got rid of the Labour councillors and they got independents and they got elected on the ticket that they would have an independent inquiry. So they get into council. They then go to the Labour government from the local council, because that's what they have to do. They asked Jess Phillips, this is what blew it up in January with Elon Musk. They said to Jess Phillips, we want an independent inquiry, because so the people elect people based on a ticket to get an independent inquiry. Then the people elected then go to the government, we want to have an independent. The Labour government shut it down again. So shut down locally, they have an election to get people in, then Labour government shut it down again. Now, why did the Labour government shut it down? Why? Rochdale, the local Labour councillor, went to court. His name's Hussein. He went to court and he gave a character reference for the man that raped 100 young English kids. So he didn't go to court for the girl, or the English girl. He went to court to testify that the Muslim man who was convicted of rape was a really good man. The ex-mayor of Bolton, Muslim, Labour, went to court and done the same. The Labour representative in Oldham, whose job it was to protect young girls, is in jail as one of the rapists. The Labour councillor in Rotherham, Jaglia was his name, was the cousin of the main rapist, and he, when the girls were missing for 3-4 days, the Labour councillor would facilitate the children being returned back to their families. The Labour have, in every single city, have been in bed with the gangs. It's the equivalent. So my next documentary, which is what I've, Shabina Mahmood, in my imprisonment of 7 months of solitary confinement, every 42 days, it has to be stamped by the government, not the prison. And the government who stamps it is Shabina Mahmood, who's now my Home Secretary, yeah? But she was the Justice Minister for the prisons at the time. So every 42 days I had to write a letter of my opposition to solitary confinement. And in my letter I'd say, you're trying to mentally destroy me here, yeah? I've made a film. Why am I held on solitary confinement? Just give me some normality here. So I'd write this. 2 weeks before I'm getting out, I've got my next film. So I wrote down saying, everything you've done to me, everything, was to prevent me talking. For the last 15 years. When I first started talking about grooming gangs, in the first 6 months, 3 times they raided my house. They gave me false charges, conditions not to talk, total attack. And I faced that non-stop. There's not been one time for the last 15 years where I haven't been facing prison. Not once. I haven't had one single clear period in 15 years without court cases. Not once. Even now, I'll go to court next week, I might go jail. After that, I've got another trial set for 2026 where I face 10 years. Yeah, for challenging and exposing journalists. Yeah? But all of this, so I wrote my response to her saying, for 15 years you've done this. You, Shabina Mahmood, the Labour Party, have done this. I've done a 5-part series called The Rape of Britain. My first 5 series were going after the gangs. In each series we tell a survivor story, and then we go and find the gangs. It's good TV, watch it. Yeah? I go into their businesses. I find them, I get them as they come out of their house. We tell the story and we show everyone who they are. Now, episode 6, I'm coming after you, Labour, because these are not just Muslim rape gangs. They're Labour's Muslim rape gangs. I'm going to piece together on my next documentary. Our last demonstration just took it over, yeah? I'll start it in 2 weeks again, yeah? I've already done it. It's done. I know every interview. I know it all. Yeah. Labour's yeah? Because I'm going to show the whole country that these gangs are not just Islamic. They've got the full support of the Labour Party. And the Labour Party have actively sought to hide this crime, because what's more important, do you know, it's mad, because they try to rewrite history. The Labour councillors, so I've got a letter signed by 10 Labour councillors in the town of Telford, where they wrote to the Home Secretary blocking an inquiry. Now, when you look at these 10 Labour councillors, 5 of their jobs is about protecting kids. They're all part of the cover-up. Yeah? They're all part of the cover-up, but no mainstream journalist has gone after them. None of them have gone after the gangs, but we want to see the gangs punished. But I want to show everyone whose hands are dirty, and that's the Labour Party. Yeah? So in Shabina Mahmood, it's quite funny, because so my last letter to her was, I'm home in 2 weeks, yeah? And when I get out of here, I'm coming straight for you. And that's probably why I face more prison and face more problems, but at the same time...
Because you will not back down.
No, but I won't back down, because why should I back down? It's one. I'm right. I've known I'm right for 15 years. Everything I'm saying is right. And not just right. You see where our country is in 10 years if we don't save this? My children. So if someone's going to fight, I want to fight, not my son. Yeah, I want to be the man that fights, and we need to fight right now. I'm not saying go out and physically fight and cause violence. I'm saying that we as a country need to fight against the tyranny we face, against the attack on free speech, against the invasion, against the attack on Christianity. All of these things, they all work together. It's like a jigsaw. But right now, again, I'll have to end this now, Nick. Yeah, I'll end it on a happy note, because a lot of what I say is depressing.
Yeah.
This country's ready now. It's ready for massive change. And it wasn't ready. We were trying to talk about this 10 years ago. No one wants to listen. People would shout at you. And I've gone from hated to embraced. From people realising and listening now to what I said 15 years ago, thinking, he was right. He was warning us. And it's not like I had a golden ball. I grew up in Luton. I know what it's like. I know what's coming to every town and city. Yeah? But now, and again, British men, it's in our DNA to fight. It's who we are. Historically, throughout the whole of our country's history, throughout the whole of our bloodline, we fight. Mm-hmm. Yeah? But they had us feminised and weakened, where people forgot who they were. And British men now, and British women, we've got a women's army that's grown. They're remembering who they are. And who they are is a nation full of the most fearless men and women who fight tyranny. The tyranny is coming from our government, and the people are going to fight them.
Yeah, it's no joke.
It's no joke.
It's no joke when we say a revolution has started and...
Oh, it's starting, man.
And you're leading...
Watch it. People will read about this in history. It's a British Revolution.
No, that's why I think this in interview, and I've known you for a while, and I remember you followed me on X when you got back, after you'd probably seen one of my videos at the border or whatnot, and then I went and met with you, and then the next day I'm at this rally, and I hear, Tommy Robinson. I'm like, oh, this guy's actually a pretty big deal. And then I've watched you, and I'm like, what's happening here is a legit revolution. You do not just get a million people on the streets for nothing.
No, it's happening. Yeah.
And it's real.
And it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And anything they do, so it's like now, yeah, put me in jail next week. You're just going to blow us up here. Try and stop us. You're just going to put us back up here. Every move you've made. Now, they put Lucy Connolly in jail. That's a mother in the UK for a tweet. She's got 31 mums. That was supposed to put fear into every British mum. They looked up Peter Lynch, and he died in jail, a grandfather, for a non-violent crime. They've done all of these things very publicly. They locked me up for 18 months and put me on solitary confinement. All of these things are meant to demoralise and strike fear into the British public. All you've done is light a fire. You've lit a fire because you've let the public see what you're doing. And then and if there's one thing the British public don't like, it's a bully. If there's one thing that they don't like, it's injustice. Now, you managed to scare them. They're not scared now. They're not scared, and they're coming out with us. So we've got their support. And the problem's going nowhere. Nick, I'll see you at each one of them, yeah?
Yes.
Keep documenting it.
Thank you, Tommy.
Cheers.
The revolution is real. Tommy's leading it. I mean, this interview and things that are going to come will be historic from what you're doing and
unite the kingdom. Unite the kingdom, mate. Unite the ripples from the United States, and it's unite the kingdom. We're going to unite the kingdom. The next demonstration is unite the kingdom, unite the West. That's the next one.
Thank you, Tommy.
Cheers, man.
That was a reaction video featuring Tommy Robinson, and he was interviewed by Nick Shirley. The title was Brits Are Ready to Fight. Subscriptions would be greatly appreciated. It does help the journeys go along. Until the next time, bye just now.